The first thing that immediately stood out to me about Wildstar was its aesthetic. At times, it's an absolutely gorgeous game. The colors are bright and inviting, all sorts of hand-drawn frippery brings an ornate joy to each area, herds of gazelle-like grazers elegantly leap across the screen. With such a rich-looking world, I'm drawn to explore it because I might find something unexpected. If you look at it, see bright colors and exaggerated shapes, and immediately compare it to World of Warcraft, you're missing out on the bigger picture. In actuality, Wildstar's art design is not a whole lot like WoW's, but something very much its own. The second thing that stood out to me about Wildstar is that same art style that makes it attractive at certain times makes it look cluttered at other times. Everything draws your eye to it. The swirling grass textures, the flowers, the hanging lamps, the smoking fires, the bubbling lava, the dust motes and the twinkles, and the dream catchers and all the colors of the rainbow. One moment, Wildstar is overwhelmingly attractive. The next, it's just overwhelming. Sadly, E3 is almost here and is a bit of an obstacle to the Wildstar review process. But in advance of the review, I wanted to share a few impressions of my time with this massively multiplayer role-playing game. And honestly, most of that time has been quite positive. Wildstar is not breaking new ground. Its fundamentals are firmly entrenched in the formula we've come to expect, in which you take quests, go and kill monsters, team up with others, and go looking for treasure out in a big, unknown world. But Wildstar delivers the expected with huge doses of character and glee. The brief character quips are charmingly delivered, the quest givers aren't averse to cracking a few jokes, and some of the adventuring circumstances are simply adorable. The game's story is quite typical, leading you through the details of the fight between two factions, the Exiles and the Dominion. But I admit I'm invested, in part because I witnessed the Dominion bomb a giant tree called the Elderroot. The Elderroot was kindly when we talked, and his biomechanical design made him stand out from all those other giant world trees that show up in games. I cared more about that darn tree than I ever cared about the Elder Scrolls Online's bland, talkative characters. I'm ready for vengeance. There are 8 races to choose from and 6 total classes. I'm a Spellslinger, which is a bit of a misleading name since pistols are my primary weapons. The extensive skill trees make me equally adept at being a damage-heavy class or a healer, and while I usually stick to damage, I've found some fun in healing my teammates in the insanely chaotic player versus player matches. All of my attacks are cone-based, so I never need to specifically target enemies. Whatever lands in my damage area is unlucky enough to get hit. This system keeps me mobile, since enemies also signal their most powerful attacks in a similar manner. But that's particularly true in the 2 competitive arenas I've unlocked so far, which keep me constantly on the go so that I can avoid incoming attacks while staying in range of my team's healers. It's terrific fun, though I admit that the busy visuals can make it tough to stay in control. Look out for a review in a few weeks' time, but if you're on the fence so far and are curious about what I think, I must say Wildstar isn't overflowing with brand new ideas, but it's fun to play, gives me a lot to look at, gives me a lot of ways to cooperate and compete with others, and aside from the long queue times I sometimes get stuck dealing with when I first log in, it's mostly stable and feels feature complete. Wildstar is a game I could see myself sticking with if the endgame content is compelling enough, if only because I like uncovering new sights, sounds, and adventures.
We're so glad you have come.